Okay, so this little chat with me and Brandon to talk about some of what we consider the secrets of inner dance from our own personal experiences. And we've had lots of questions as well, so we're going to be doing our best to answer those and yeah, and just see what comes up really. If you've got any questions that you want to put in the comments as well, hopefully I can see them on my phone and we can also answer there. So yeah, lots of tech stuff going on with this. Um, yes, okay, I can see it. Hey, Fee. Hi, Kerry.
Woo!
All
Hello,
right.
Kerry. Oh, I need to.
Yeah. So maybe you can speak a little bit, Brandon. Like it's 2 years ago since you did the training, yeah?
Yeah, 2 years ago, I think 2023 was it? Or
Something
2022?
I don't know.
20, I
But
think it was
any
2023. So I took the training 2023, um actually really not knowing what to kind of expect from the process. I'd done lots of research, but I think the amazing thing before I came to the training with Katie, I was a very eager beaver. I was like, how does this work and how does this work? And I think you created the space for me to discover that myself. So apart from the training being very, very, very transformative and very, very, very deep, um,
Mhm.
I think the main thing that I took away is this idea that inner dance isn't only a process that you can offer to other people. And fundamentally, we're not really offering anything in a way. We're holding space for inner dance to actually commence, let's say, for it to uh, be,
Tell its own story.
tell its
Yeah,
own story exactly. And I
yeah.
think being able to facilitate the work on yourself was one of the biggest key takeaways. Although I love facilitating, continue to facilitate my group sessions, I think being able to actually have your own self-healing process, which is, just as powerful, sometimes even more powerful than a group session because of the intimacy with yourself, is really one of the golden things that I really took away from the training. Um, I think a lot of things that we discovered as a group, and then I began to discover for myself as well, is this idea of all of these beliefs you've accumulated over life. Do they really belong to you, or is it something that you've inherited? And I found the process, not only in the training but afterwards, continues to mm, strip away these layers, these beliefs, uh, the false self, and allows us to arrive back at the kind of most authentic version of us, which is always vibrant, always zesting for life. It brings us back to the inner light, I think. So that's where I think I'd like to, start with talking about the training, this idea of belief, because fundamentally where we act from our beliefs, right? If I don't feel confident, I'm not going to go on that date if I'm dating, right? The same thing is true for opportunities in our lives. I'm not going to apply for that job if I don't feel confident. So the inner dance process is a way of shedding those false, disempowering beliefs and to come back to empowerment within. So then your life can change from inside out. That's what inner dance.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so true. And of course, for everybody, it's very personal as well because we've all got different backgrounds. Epigenetically, we're holding different characteristics and yeah, different soul memories. And then it's how much are we going to fight with ourselves against that change? Like how much stubbornness can we bring in? And I'm talking from personal experience, and or how much can we surrender to ourselves and to surrender to a potentially bigger version of us and what that holds. But of course, often that means stepping or dancing into the unknown parts of us that can be quite scary sometimes. And it's like, oh, can I really go there? Can I really be that me that I've always dreamed to be?
Yes.
And and do I deserve that? You know, and like you say, all these beliefs around that, like, am I deserving? Am I worthy? Like, can I really be
I,
this other me and make these different decisions in my life? And it's, yeah, I find it's a way that we can explore this, you know, in our own time, because for some people it can be like boom boom boom, and it's like, right, that's it, changed my whole life in a weekend. And
yeah.
then for other people it, you know, it might take a few months, it might take a year, because it just depends, yeah, all the threads that are making us, and that we're holding together, and how much we can bring our courage into that. And I think that doing this depth of work really shows how much courage people hold, because this is what I see in the trainings. It's like, you know, these people are just like bringing me to my knees, you know, when I'm watching you, and recognizing when I've been in those same kind of situations of release or of empowerment and insights, and it's like I can feel it in every cell of my body as I'm watching people crumble and collapse, and just like, okay, all, I can't fix this, I can't take responsibility, but I can really hold this space in the strongest way possible, and in the most dynamic way, that it's almost like good cop bad cop. Like, i'm I'm kind of nurturing you here, but it's like, come on, do it. Like, we can do this, and we're all in it together, which can be interesting as the trainer to, and as the facilitator as well, to sort of be holding what we might think of as masculine and feminine, or sort of the softness and the dynamism, and yeah, how that then shows up in each individual, and in the group.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things I really, really connected with what you were talking about just then. And the first thing was the idea of the dance, and the second idea would be the insight. I mean, the idea of dance, I think in the training you explored so beautifully, because you know you have a such an amazing, rich background of dance, sacred dance.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, the idea of dance in the training, what you really begin to learn is dance isn't only movement, dance is almost the equivalent to negotiation. And I think throughout all of these changes that are happening inside of us throughout the process, particularly in the training, really what's happening is your your highest self and the current version of you begin to negotiate. They actually
Mm,
begin to they actually begin to have a communication with one another, and then you begin to realize that change is possible, but only you have that decision. So again,
yeah.
you know, that's really the dance, because really we're dancing. Life is a dance, you know. I'm dancing into fear and I'm also dancing into love. You know, it's true for both things. But the inner dance, it really teaches us how to be fluid again, how to not stay stuck in something. And I think that was a key component when we were in the training, that the training you provide when you're learning to facilitate is how to actually help someone negotiate themselves out of it. All too often in life we get stuck in fear, and there's no problem with fear. The problem is being stuck in it. You know, fear, it's
Yeah.
natural to be fearful as a human being. We're human. It's natural to feel love. It's natural to feel all these different things, but it's really when we get stuck in it. And I found this process to really help me recognize that I'm not the fear, I'm experiencing fear. And then I can dance
Mm,
my way out of that into something greater. Similarly,
yeah.
the clarity, um, holy, I mean, my experience in the training, I was just having like these literal downloads of information. It was like one after the other, um, which can take, you know, a number of different you know, if someone's just working via, you know, talk therapy with no body work, it can take a number of sessions before you even get that type of depth and understanding from the work. So yeah, the insight kind of, that's one thing that really blew me away with the training. Just like the wisdom of my own body and the intelligence of the energy and the intelligence of everyone's beingness and how everyone's process is entirely different, but also so similar at the same time, and how it all weaves together into this big bundle of divinity.
Yeah, and what you're saying about fear is, I really love this phrase of standing in your fear but not being afraid. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can be in it and I can look this fucker in the face and just be like, okay, yeah, I know that you're here, but actually you're not going to define my life anymore, and you're not going to have agendas with what I'm doing. It's like, now this is me. Like I can still be the strongest, most empowered version of me, and know that I have fears of whatever they might consist of, but they're not holding me. It's not like they're not bars anymore. It's just like, yeah, okay, you're all right. It's like, you're safe, body, you're safe. And yeah, and then keep going.
And that's really, you know, what I'm hearing about what you're saying just there is like, it's the training processes that you know, you take people through is really about expanding your container, your personal container. Once that
Mm,
expanded, then other people begin to expand and you can hold the session. And it's really, I've really noticed through the training, the sort of the spillover into my world, because I'm, you know, I'm an energy worker already in life as my job. And I've really noticed, I really, the
and a very good
spillover
one.
from from the training is sort of like, it's not just kind of the training. I think because it's all to do with what's happening inside, you can't leave and it not affect everything else, because everywhere you go, you are there. And because
Yeah.
it's changed, everything, you know, everything changes, because, you know, how I work with my clients has changed. The space I can hold is greater because I've discovered a greater capacity. And I notice that in, you know, in everyone in the group, that's really one of the kind of key things that happened. Everyone left much more expansive than they were.
Yeah. And also when you're facilitating, whether it's one to one or in a group, you're going to learn things about yourself every time, because you're seeing mirrors of yourself all around the room, because this kind of unity happens, that the magic ingredients of everyone who's there in that particular session, and it's never by accident, like I always say. And you're looking and you're like, okay, this is me, this is me, this is me, oh, this is me, okay, this is me, yes, like and and you really kind of glean from that, so that as the people that are there taking part are also, it's like a feedback loop that's happening. It's like everybody's in this kind of crucible of creation and possibilities, and then who are we when we come out of that? Because every single time is going to be different. And yeah, I find always there's like something like, oh, okay, like I realize something in myself. And that's why I love it, because as a facilitator we're also always evolving, and it's not like, oh, I'm the guru, I'm like like I'm here. I'm gonna like do some shit. It's like, no, like we're really there as a witness, and yeah, and holding that crucible. And of course the deeper that we go into our own stuff, which is why the training is so important, because it's like you really get immersed in yourself, and through doing that and the cracking open that can happen, this then means that that space, like you're saying, that space that you can hold gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that means that the people within that space can drop more and more into it. So then, of course, as you're developing as a person, as a facilitator, the experiences that people have are going to be different as well. And then you see loads and loads of reflections things that have happened in your life, or maybe are happening in your life, but you get some different kind of answers to it. And I really love that. And that anybody can do it as well. It's not like any
Yeah,
kind of
there's no
magical thing.
dogma, there's no kind of, I mean, there is some kind of magic, you know.
Maybe.
There is, I have to say, there is something very magical, but it's sort of like, I love what you're saying about this witness, because we're really, when the inner dance is unfolding, really what's happening is, we're witnessing a miracle. We're witnessing people go inside of themselves and find the answers,
Mm,
which is a miracle in itself, because, in today's age, it's like I'm gonna change myself on the outside so I can be happy. But people don't recognize that the inside is where the problem lies. In fact, all of the perceptions you have about life are coming from inside. So it's a miracle in itself that people, you don't need anyone. The facilitator, the training really just teaches you to let the process unfold, and for you to negotiate. We don't control anything. We really dance with the process, and then
mm,
your own,
yeah.
surrender, classic surrender. You really, but also, got so much to talk about. And this, so many people are seeking spiritual development, right? And I think one thing, yes, the healing comes from the work, it's immensely healing, but the counterpart that accompanies that is this very deep experiential development that happens. You have direct experience with concepts that have maybe been read. I remember in the training, there were ideas sort of about, the self and the false self, and I'd read it and I'd understood it, but when I took, when I was in a dancing aware, I understood that on a experiential level, and when that happens, you can't leave changed, not changed.
Not changed yet. Yeah, and I mean, for me now, I think this year, I think it's 11 years since I went to my first inner dance,
Oh my
which
God.
I had no, I had no idea about it. All I knew was that I was looking for something that could tell me about brainwaves and music and about natural DMT.
Mhm.
And because I didn't want to do something like ayahuasca or put anything into my body, I wanted to be able to kind of connect into this natural DMT within my own body, and had no plans to facilitate, no plans definitely to hold trainings. It was really purely, I thought, for research, because I was creating Awaken Belly Dance at that point. So I'd been looking for any information possible about how to link these things together, and I couldn't find anything. And I would ask so many people, and they were like, just look at me and like, what are you talking about? Where would you get this kind of idea from?
Wow. Funny you should
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah, and obviously I got a whole lot more from it, and suddenly 11 years has gone by, and it's like, whoa, how has that happened? And obviously facilitating all over the world, and like more than 50 trainings now, also all over the world, and it's yeah, you really, when I like this immersion that I've had with myself as well as others, you have to change. There's no way possible that you are going to be that same person. I can't even imagine from 11 years ago, like who I was, and I can't even imagine from this morning. Like today,
yeah,
I've I've done an energy session just before this, and
yeah.
another podcast talking about another course that I'm a Blue Lotus course that I'm holding. And it's like, just even in doing those today, I'm a different person again, and allowing
Well
this, yeah, this
done.
flow to come.
Yeah,
So it so we don't have to be stuck in, oh, okay, you're in this box and everyone thinks you're like this. And that's how you've always been, because I've known you since you were a teenager or since you were a little kid, and
yeah.
you have to be that. And it's like, actually, who made that rule?
I
Like
mean,
we don't have to be anything anyone says.
It's interesting you say about the books because on the training I don't know if you can remember, I had that moment of, you know, at that point in my life, of course, there were some things that I was struggling with. Aren't we all having, you know, these struggles we're trying to negotiate? But I had that realization of suddenly I was like, wow, there isn't a box in the first place. I was like, oh, you know, I suddenly got that. Also, you mentioned something about the natural DMT and the plant medicine. What I really, really connect with is the reason I connect with inner dance so much is personally, plant medicine isn't for me. I have no desire to take ayahuasca. So many people don't, but inner dance is, you know, kind of the perfect, even better alternative to, you know, if you want to do it's sober, you know, it really is connecting with your own energy, and it unfolds like a sober plant medicine journey. Yeah, I think that was one of the questions. Let me just
Hmm.
do you have the questions on it being plant medicine, an
Yeah.
alternative?
Yeah, I mean, some people have come and they've done sessions and they've said to me that they've also been to ayahuasca ceremonies and they've said that it was stronger for them than the ayahuasca. And I haven't been in an ayahuasca ceremony. I've other things, yes, but I can't say, and obviously it's everybody's individual journey with this, but it really surprised me, especially with the purging side as well. And but lots of people have very trippy type experiences or like very visual and colors and seen into what might be different lifetimes or seen into their ancestors' lives and or even to the point of seeing into their body where maybe there's a problem of a dis-ease of some kind and they've
Yeah,
been able to pinpoint that and then go to a doctor afterwards and say, can you check this for me because I think there's something going on even though there's no symptoms, there's not anything. And it's yeah, it's really like we're opening the map into ourselves. And
yeah,
of course everything contains a certain amount, smaller amounts of DMT, like in vegetables, in trees, it's all around us. And I've been researching a lot about the I have to say it now, cerebrospinal fluid and how this also there's kind of theories around this with DMT, with the circadian rhythms when we're asleep. But of course, with inner dance, we're sleeping awake because we're in that kind of zone between
yeah.
zones. And so through that, these different parts of us are being activated, pineal gland. And like you've seen, lots of people arch their back or they have these kind of snaky movements going on, which of course is moving the cerebrospinal fluid down and through. And yeah, I'm very interested in this, and there isn't much information out at the moment, so I'm hoping in time that it will come more. But I feel that once we have that surrender into ourselves, then of course we can
Yeah.
open these inner boxes and experience more of what we would call inner sight into
Um,
into ourselves and into the world around us. But what's great is that you can open your eyes at any moment and you're out of it and there's no kind of come down or hangover or
well,
anything like that. It's
you're
just
not
like boom, okay, the world is different.
back. Yeah, it's exactly this idea of, you know, I think if you're ingesting something, sometimes, you know, you may need to escape and you feel like you can't, you know, if something's too much for you. And the beauty of the inner dance is you can really, you can open your eyes at any point, you know, so it's really, it's you negotiating and you're, you know, you develop this the capacity to really stay with your stuff and you haven't even, you know, taken anything. It's just your own system. And the question I have here, that, you know, you sent me with the list is, how does it differ to a plant medicine journey and how is it the same? And I think the thing that I would liken it to be different is this kind of these different stages that you go through, which you talk about in the training, and how you actually formulate it, how the different, how the brainwaves change throughout the actual inner dance process, you know, and how to actually um, read that in the body, read that in the body, how to mm, how to know when to push and how to not know when to push. I think the listening skills you develop from the training with what you talk about, you know, where to work, what to do, all these things really. I've totally like not answered the question, but I guess to answer the question is, I guess, what's similar is this inner vision you're talking about, these insights, these visions, and of course the thing that most people love about it, the trance. That's kind of a really hard thing to explain what that feels like because it's
Yeah.
really, really beyond that. But I think what is similar to, you know, someone taking plant medicine and then in a dance is accessing this wisdom, this intelligence, and also being put in touch with a part of yourself that you haven't, you know, you haven't experienced before. And that was certainly what happened to me on the training. I experienced a part of myself, you know, that I hadn't ever experienced inside, um, waking at least. You know, so that was, you know, that was really magical, I think. And other people
Yeah, it's
do that too.
yeah, I think it's like bringing self-responsibility back to ourselves and not looking for, yeah, like you say, something outside of us, whether that's an authority that we think of as
Mm.
whoever, whatever, or whether it's from plants or, yeah, even cacao. It's like the information, as you said at the beginning, everything is here. Like we are our ancestors, we are the dust of the earth of the collective from the beginning. So this is in our food, it's in the water. So why would we need to look outside when we can connect inwards? And this is what we've been conditioned to do. Look outside of yourself. Don't trust yourself. No,
Yeah,
you can only trust these intermediaries. But actually trusting yourself is that's the basis of everything, because then that's also going to give you the discernment about who you work with, who touches your body, who, you know, like who you hang out with. And this is so important so that we really stay in these spaces that are most positive for us.
yeah.
And
I mean, the process really, I think the thing that you know, it baffles me every single time I do it on myself, I hold a session, is, you know, lots of people ask, well, how does it work? And I say, you just lie down. And that was my question, you know, I remember, you know, on the training, you know, we were lying down for the first one. I said, so how does this work? And you said, you just lie down. And I was like, whatever, whatever.
whatever.
And then, like, am I allowed to swear, Katie Holland?
Yeah, I already did in the first
Okay,
five
fine.
minutes.
Okay. I was like, holy fuck, this energy like that is building inside of me. I was like blown away. And then the more you do the work, the more you recognize the process unfolds, you know, even just beginning to talk about inner dance, it's here. It really starts to unfold. You know, as you were talking, I was like, oh, I'm in the process. You know, you begin to drop into those states, and what starts to happen is you start to feel incredibly regulated. Your nervous system, it just like regulates. I can't explain it. Not that I was
Yeah,
dysregulated before, but you feel, you know, sort of this immense sense of calm in a way, I guess, inside. And I think
yeah,
that's a huge value. You know, so many people are doing breath work and they're forcing their nervous systems to relax. And I think the difference with, or even with yoga, you're still doing something to get your nervous system to relax. Whereas the inner dance is, there's nothing you do. You lie down and it just happens. You
Yeah.
things, things fix themselves. Things, this jigsaw piece goes here and this goes here, and there's nothing you're really doing. It's just the wisdom of your own very beingness. It's that highest self beginning to, and what you could argue we're always in communication with our highest self, but I suppose we're coming closer to that within a session. And then it's sort of like jigsaw, I guess, is how I experienced it. This goes in
Yeah.
here, this goes in there. And then also accepting that it's all kind of a mess, and that's great as well.
Yeah, that everything's okay.
Yeah, that it's,
Yeah.
that chaos is a form of order, you know.
Yeah, and that you can let go into that chaos, and saying about the nervous system as well. Like for me, I really at the beginning it was recognizing how much of my life I'd been in fight or flight, and really,
Yeah,
like from being born, like fighting to not come into this world, and was already fully in. And then later on, it was how there was so much freeze as well. And this is something I think that is very hidden. People know about rest and digest and fight and flight, but freeze is a bit more kind of underground, and people don't recognize it so much in themselves. But being able to find these like frozen parts of me from maybe different points in my life, or yeah, different experiences that I had. And then the next layer was recognizing, okay, is this me? Like, is it all me? But actually, then how much of it was from my ancestors,
yeah,
and how I was holding and processing so much for them, and kind of extricating myself from that okay, this is not my responsibility, and really seeing how much it was affecting not only my thoughts but also my physicality as well. Because when you're holding, or like people that are processing for the earth or for the collective,
yeah.
it's a massive task that is never going to end, and never.
So,
and and is it's like it doesn't have to be our job to do this. There can come a point where we say no, actually this is what I'm going to deal with, is like just me in my little whatever at now at these days, and let go of the rest. And for me this was really life transforming. It was like I don't have to hold this shit anymore, and I'm not going to. And it's yeah, and these the sort of frozen bits and the fight or flight, and my nervous system began to calm down, and I was able to recognize the moments when it would get activated and be
yeah,
like, okay, it's all right, body, lie down, or like go to sleep, have something to eat, or like have a hug from someone, a long hug. And yeah, and this was very yeah, life changing for me to be able to recognize it. And I see that in so many people as well, that they say in a session and they're like really kind of going through things, and then it will get to a point of boom, like there's a
yeah.
like not I don't even want to call it a block, but it's like a frozen part that is like they've come up against this, but they maybe don't understand why. And of course, it can be through fears that are coming up as well, because what does this mean if I release this? Like, who we're so attached to who we are as being in our victimness, like, well, if I let go of this, then I can't take energy from people anymore, because they're not feeling sorry for me anymore, and like all of this fucked up shit, these games that we play and that we've been taught to play. And yeah, finish it. This finishes all of it. So
Yeah,
you all you can do then is look at yourself. Okay, am I still playing games? Am I allowing myself to go into like old patterns? Is my nervous system freaking out? And like, why is it? Why am I kind of going into that story again? And it's yeah, like layers upon layers upon layers of yeah, of self-responsibility and self-healing and self-transformation. And this is priceless, like
it's the
how
bare
can
bones
you
of the process. I think what you're talking about, like really, like if you had to put it down to a couple of words, it's self transformation, self process, self. It's always bringing it back to self. constantly. What are you going to say? I interrupted. I'm just so excited. Just
It's okay.
getting
Well,
so
actually,
involved.
one thing I could say, because I know there's people on the Facebook Live, is if anyone has any questions, please write it in the comments of the
Hello,
video, and
hello, Facebook Live
do it.
people. Um, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Does anyone have a question?
and I'll check our list as well.
Um, I think also, what I really connect with is it helps you live from love fundamentally because it's sort of like there's this light inside of you, and the best way to describe it is like what I experience at least is it's like your hand is over a torch. The light is always there. It's always it's completely unrestricted, but what's on top of it is stopping it from shining.
Yes. Yeah. So I can just give a little plug for the next training then. Thank you, Brendan. It's always so lovely to talk to you.
Oh, it's so nice to
And
chat with you always, Katie Holland, Awaken Belly Dance in the Dance Lady.
um, so yeah, I have another facilitator training. It's starting in July, and there's going to be 5 classes which are online, which are to look at the theory and do some online sessions. And then there'll be 5 days in person in Leicestershire, in England, in September. So there's a bit of space in between where you'll have some homework for making playlists and yeah, some different things. Then we'll be together, so we'll do more of the kind of practical facilitation, giving and receiving, and of course for anything else that comes up. And is always, yeah, as we've been saying, very powerful, very self-informative, alchemizing, and we never quite know what's going to happen, but it's
Yeah, it's
it's always
really
beautiful.
incredible
And
talk.
Brandon is also going to be there again,
For my
and
second time because it's so
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, and if you come, it's very much about your own self process. You don't have to be a facilitator. There's a choice in this. So you can come purely for yourself, and then you can see later on what you want to do. Or some people come and they know very clearly they want to be a facilitator. So yeah, however it is for you is totally fine. But it's always a very safe space, very loving space. And yeah, and an adventure, inner adventure into ourselves.
Yeah, that is the word yeah, a voyage.
Yes, yeah. So if you're interested to know more, you can either contact me on Facebook if that's where you are, or you can email me freedom@awakenbellydance.com, or hang on, let me say that again, freedom@awbd.com, or you can just go through the website and email me from there. It's maybe easier. And yeah, and I really look forward to dancing with you. And yeah, I've got lots of retreats coming up later in the year as well in Egypt, and next spring in Goa, India. That hasn't been released yet, but yeah, there's lots of exciting things coming up where we'll be doing awaken belly dance, inner dance, sacred dance, all kinds of different things, and yeah, get to hang out together. So yes, thank you for listening. And yeah, thanks, Brandon.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Yeah, is there anything final that you want to say
I don't think so. I think we've like literally covered the whole thing. Is there anything you
for
have to add?
today?
I
Yeah.
think we really yeah, covered a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, you might want to listen to this a couple of times over just to absorb everything because we were like, okay, I'm gonna end.